T. Clark here, and this video is going to go over the actual exam, the prompts that are given to you. So it's May 1st, May 5th, something like that. You're done with your program, you've turned it in, you submitted to the digital portfolio, your PPR, your PDF, and your video of your code running or your program running. And now what? The best way you can prepare for the exam is to basically just do mock exams. You're given 60 minutes after the multiple choice. You were given your PPR, it'll be printed out for you, and you have to answer 4 prompts. The first one's based on program design, function, and purpose. Second one's about algorithm development. Third one's errors and testing. And the fourth one is data and procedural abstraction stuff. And again, like in my first video I made, there's a ton of terminology. Make sure you know all the keywords that College Board expects you to know, and make sure you're ready to go to write about each one. In this slideshow, so again, if you look at my main web page and the slideshow, this link goes right to the prompts. So I'll talk about those in a second. There are some task verbs. So these are the same ones that are in the terminology, but the main ones, it'll ask you to consider, it'll ask you to demonstrate, it'll ask you to describe, to explain, to identify. So if it says these are keywords in the prompts, and makes you understand what they mean. I recommend that you read the whole prompt, well, the first one prompt at a time. So take 15 minutes per prompt, but focus on only one at a time. Don't look at all of them, and that's one good thing about the digital one, is that you're only looking at one at a time before you click the next one. So read through the whole prompt. Before you do anything, maybe match the code. So if it says to consider your program or your procedure in P1, get your procedure ready, your paper on your table, get that ready. You only want to look at the procedure code. So if it's saying consider the procedure 1, P1, only look at that code. Don't look at the rest of the code in your PPR. You can annotate it. So on the test day, you can write on the paper they give you, on the PPR they give you. You can write down stuff. You can put stars. You can circle stuff. Annotate. I don't know how the blue book will work, but mark up the prompt to help you focus. I think you can highlight in different colors maybe. Hopefully you can put circles or boxes around stuff. But I wrote this last year when you were given a paper exam, but now it's blue book, so you have to do it on digital. But either way, highlight your prompts. And like I said, the best way to practice in these next 2 weeks before the exam is to just write out the answers. You are given a bunch of prompts that are released or were given to some teachers or were in the videos. There's also access in the AP Classroom. If you log into your AP Classroom, there's 3 response practice exams there. So there's extra prompts for you to practice. So if you don't have access to it, ask your teacher to unlock these written response practice exams on the AP exam. So I have links to a bunch of them on the web page. On my web page, it would be under the exam prompts section, and I have some examples. Here's the set 1 from 2024. Here's set 2 from 2024. And if you click on these, you can see the scoring criteria drop downs. Here's the CED ones. These are official. This is the course and description and exam description. That's what CED stands for us teachers. But it gives you some prompts for those. And on the AP Daily videos, these were released publicly. And then there's some more, like I said, on the practice exams. You can click this link. It'll take you to the AP Classroom where they are. But there's 4 different prompts, and you don't know which one I get, but they will be very similar to the ones that are released. Let's see. So look through the common mistakes. I'll probably add to this after looking at some of the old ones. And then the scoring. Scoring is basically just the same as the prompt. So it's basically, did they answer the prompt? So don't worry about the scoring. You will not be given a scoring rubric during the AP exam. They'll just give you the prompts. They'll give you the 4 prompts, and that'll be it. Well, one at a time, but 4 prompts. And then what do we got? Okay, so here, wait. So here are the different learning objectives, what you have to do, go through those. Here's some more sample links. So here's a sample prompt. And then here's, if you go through these slides, what I did is I pretended I was going to do it, so I annotated stuff. So I circled the keyword, key action I have to do. I have to describe the input. This box is kind of off to this side, and then underline stuff. So you want to annotate stuff as you go through. And here's some example answers. Here's another next prompt. I didn't annotate these yet. I annotated this one. I didn't have time. I'll probably get around to that when I have some time. It talks about scoring. Here's FRQ2. So that's how these slides are going. So it's 2A, a bunch of examples for 2A, more 2A examples, and then 2B examples, and then 2C examples, so the last one. And then I'll try to get some common mistakes in there for writing. But either way, the best way to practice is prepare is just to practice. So I would have my prompts ready to go. So I got this from the previous year's prompts. So 2024 programs accept input, programs accept input. So I read through it, okay? Programs accept input to achieve their intended functionality. Okay, so I'm thinking about input. I'll maybe highlight that. Describe, so I have to describe it. At least one valid input. So one valid input, highlight that to your program and what your program does with that input. What does my program do with that input? So I could say, so looking at my Polygon program, and it's not, this one, question 1 isn't really in any of the P1, P2, L1, L2 sections of the screenshots. So you just have to remember what your program does. So but for me, I have my change point function, which is, it needs to have that function procedure. So I would say, okay, what does it do? What does my program do? I forget. It's been a couple weeks since I made it. Okay, if I click around, I would say, oh, why is it bold? One valid input to my program would be the user clicking, and again, I wouldn't be looking at the rest of it. I'd be just looking at just the one question at a time. Clicking a spot, like, I don't know, what would they click? 100 on the screen, and this would update my polygons, right? I'm talking about my code is polygon, vertex, third vertex to that point. Okay, again, it has to be about your program. So my program, what is a valid input? Input would be user clicking a spot. I could say clicking a spot with a mouse. You could say user typing the letter A, user inputting a word to get the Wordle or something if you're doing a Wordle type stuff. So whatever users do, however users work on your program, however users interact with your program, that's what it's asking for you to talk about. So how does a user interact with your program, and then how does it respond as well? And that's what I have. I said the user clicks it, then what happens? Update the polygons, the third vertex to that point. Pretty straightforward. So you don't need the whole 15 minutes sometimes. And then you go to the next one. And then again, you practice these over and over again. And you say, okay, consider the first iteration statement in the procedure section. So again, this one says consider means you look at your code, your PPR, and it says consider the first iteration statement. So iteration, again, I'll bold that. I'll say, okay, what's my iteration? Iteration is a loop, it's my for loop. Okay, so it's line 15. Maybe write down line 15 here when you're doing your, I gotta fix these bold stuff. Because you can write on scratch paper. I would circle line 15 on my paper, on my PPR. Hopefully you printed, you added the line numbers. Maybe circle the whole line right here on the exam day. You cannot circle on the PPR, so you're not adding a circle here. On the actual paper you get, you're going to be putting circles and stars or something. That way you focus in on, okay, here's my first iteration statement. Okay, then I say, okay, describe, so that's what I have to do. I have to describe what is being accomplished by the code in the body of the iteration statement, okay? What is being accomplished? There we go, that's what I have to describe, what is being accomplished. So I look at line 15, so I'd say my whole thing is from 15 to 22. So my iteration, so when I write, I would say my iteration statement, and don't worry about typos. If you make a typo, don't worry about it. If you have bad grammar, don't worry about it. But again, I like specifically saying lines 15 to 22, there's my iteration statement. So I say, okay, on lines 15 to, which loops over the indexes of my, what does it do? Shape.pointList. List will search for, so what am I searching for? What's this if statement? It's searching for a specific index to match the parameter, what is it? Again, I'm looking at what I'm saying, point index. And if it does, we'll add the x and y values from the parameter arguments to the new list of points. Otherwise, it will just copy the old values from the point list. Right? If it is not that index I'm looking for, it'll just copy whatever values x and y are from there. And I want the x and y values, not the mouse x and mouse y, is whatever the arguments are. Yes, in my code I have it based on the mouse x and mouse y, but I could call change points with like 100 100, like I said. It doesn't have to be 100 100, it could be 70 70. I could actually say a call. So sometimes it says what's one specific call. So a call, this is just a generic one, could be change points shape 3 index 1, and I'll just be like 30 40. So that could be one call. Another call could be or change point negative 100. And if it's negative 100, that's a key one, because it says my point index would be negative 100, which doesn't make sense. It would never match that, so it wouldn't do this if statement. It would skip line 19 always. So sometimes it'll say you need to have a specific call, and that's like the old number 3 prompts as before. But either way, those are also, if I look at my web page, down here on written response, oh wait, maybe not. Maybe, oh yeah, so the old prompts are still here. So the pre-2023 written response prompts, so you can still use these prompts as practice. Yeah, so 3D was talking about different calls, 2 different calls. One where the if statement's true, one where the if statement's false. So practice those as well, because there could be similar questions. I'm not going to go through everything. This video is probably too long already. But again, just practice, practice, practice. Going through, answering it based on your code, not on my code. Don't answer based on my code. Answer it based on your PPR. Have a good day.